Here we go. Hey guys, welcome. It's Tuesday at Two Lines, and I got a treat. We were just on with Harry, and he was showing us a sneak peek of his NASCAR, but he's going to go serve dinner. But I've got George from Area 51 and Shotgun Dave, and they're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk a lot about the land barge proxy. And you guys know that a couple weeks ago, we did the proxy where I submitted the car and had a great time just watching that weekend and all the live streams and, watching the car that you blood, sweat, and tears in that I painted 3 different times and the paint still is bad. But like that was so much fun. So I talked a lot about it on the channel, and a lot of guys have reached out and said, hey, I want to jump in this proxy. So I thought I would have George and Dave come on and talk about it tonight. But guys, this, if you can believe this is 2 years anniversary of the YouTube channel.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. And I remember early on when I started doing, the other day, Dusty and John Mark, we were passing a video, one of the first videos that I sent to them. And the track was the starter kit with some extra straights in it on the floor, on a rug in the middle of this room. No table, no layout, nothing. And I couldn't drive a slot car and had a ghost car set up, and that started the fun. And we started making videos and talking about the journey of learning about slot cars. And it's crazy to know, to look back and see how far the channel's come and how far I've come with slot cars. I mean, I built my own car. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. And I know for somebody who's built 100 of them, I still think that in the end, when you're done, you look at that, you're like, I built that from scratch, that there's still a lot of pride. And I love buying the next great slot it or the next great thunder slot. Right?
No doubt about that.
That's fun. And I love those cars, but there's something about the process of learning to scratch build. I think it gives you a better understanding of just the inner workings of a slot car, how to tune a slot car, and then all the testing that you can do and trying new things. Dave, I've talked to you a couple times about that last chassis that you built and how just you created a pod chassis using all the regular stuff, the brass and the piano wire, and I was fascinated by that. So now I'm working on the next chassis, and I want to do some kind of design like that. And then George built his rattle chassis, and then Harry was resurrecting a few old builds of his and kind of running through them in some videos this past week, and it's got my brain just spinning with ideas of how do we make a car go a little faster?
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, sky's the limit. Yeah. So, but yeah, I wanted to celebrate with all the guys in the chat. I don't know who all's in, and how many people we have watching. Gosh, we have almost 70 people already. But I want to thank you, like the motivation that I have to keep going. And I know George and I have talked a lot about this when we were with Raul on Monday nights. A lot of the motivation to keep posting videos is because of this community that we've built around our channels, and just how much we enjoy the conversations that we have, and sharing knowledge with each other, and posting pictures and commenting on everybody's pictures that they post of their new slot cars, or getting a car tuned. Like that, to me, that is just what makes it special. And so I just wanted to say thanks to everybody out there, and thanks to George and Dave for jumping on and sharing my anniversary with me. But we're gonna talk about the land barge series, and I'm just it's kind of a takeover. I'll have a million questions, but George, Dave, either one of you jump in and how did this get started? The home racing world. I think a lot of people in the chat already know about Home Racing World. We push it all the time about being a great resource, but for these proxy races, how did that get started? What's the kind of the history behind it? And for the land barge series, how many years have you been doing that?
Well, these the big car started as a side race. Basically it was sort of an add-on to the people who were privy to go to Harry's and race the 132 scale modifieds and sportsman cars. And so it started out, hey, let's build land barges or let's build whatever. And people just brought those extra along in their slot box. And it most of the time it turned into a demolition derby, but it was always. So it's just sort of blossomed from there. I think Harry just said here a little bit ago that this is the third year for the land barges, right, George? Is that what he said?
Yeah, it's the third year. It started with Scott and myself. So Scott Culp built the Mobius 28 Pontiac, the orange and black one, and then I did the Nick Jarrett, number 11 blue with the white top. And originally we put the Jolly Green motors in there, the ball bearing motors.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like a test. That's how we do things. Dave and I and Harry, we just say, let's build this and see how it works.
Yeah.
And then if it's something desirable, then why don't we make a series out of it? We'll set the rules, set the tires, the wheels, the model kits. That's where all the rules come into kind of intersect with each other and how we pick what. And then we see what motor works good. Obviously, the best thing was that Stock Car Corner, again, has always stepped up. And originally it was the Jaws motor that we used. Remember those, Dave? The long can Jaws motors?
Yeah.
Before that,
so then
the H&R blue can motors.
Yeah, the H&R blue can motors.
Yeah.
Right. And then Stock Car Corner stepped up by making a long can like what we have now.
Yeah.
Specifically for scratch builders. This is why one of the things why I really am a big backer of Stock Car Corner, because they're a big backer of the scratch builder. Besides, having Professor Motor, that's fine, but Professor Motor is kind of a real big, mortar and stone store. But Steve really does seek out to make brackets and things that nobody else is going to do, to be honest. All those slimline brackets and those new brackets that are called the showdown brackets, the home racing worlds, those were originally JK ones, and they were tall. And so what you'd have to do was cut the bottom of them to bring it down more flush with the chassis. So those were developed by Steve, and this is why that's why it's so nice now that we have a lot of access to that. And this is what brings a lot of these these proxies that we do, is like, well, now we got the slim bracket, maybe we could think of another bracket, Volkswagen one.
Right.
That's how that stuff happens, and that's how the land barge happened, was because of that reason.
Yeah, that's really cool. So guys, I'm struggling to keep up with the chat. If you have a question, make sure you put a Q in front of it. We have our first question, Gene. Let's see if it superimposes it. Here we go. Gene asks, I will be building a car for the Proxy, but I just want to make sure that the 62 Catalina is okay to submit.
Yeah, 62 is fine. You gotta look at the rules. See, this is, you guys, I feel that sometimes, and I'm not trying to be mean, when we put a video and we put rules, it's like that's a good question, Gene, but that the answer is in the rules. You guys have to look at the rules in the videos. We state all that in there, even the live that we added added the zipper tops, which are different years, because they only raced those a certain amount of years, and then they stopped because it got too dangerous, rollover. But they stopped doing those at a certain year. So it is and sometimes I have to look myself. If you go to I'll post a link. I don't know, I think I could post a link, but there is a link for the land barge series that tells you the years. But yeah, 62 Catalina is perfect. That's, as a matter of fact, that car right below my screen, that is a 62 Catalina, and that's a Junior Johnson Holly Farms car. That's an actual car that raced. That's why I built that. That's an H&R chassis, and then I'm going to be doing an Impala, which is another Junior Johnson Holly Farms car that he raced, Chevy. So yeah, 62 Catalina is fine.
Another thing that's good to do is, I've heard this a million times, Google is your friend. I had to do it on a couple of different cars that I was thinking about choosing, but I wasn't sure. So it's very simple to type in 62 Chevy Impala NASCAR and see if there were any that raced in 1962. And if there were, then you're good to go. But if you type in 1962 Cadillac Eldorado NASCAR and none of them pop up, then you can't race a 62 Eldorado. Right. It's just
that's a red flag.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the reason why is Harry has this desire that it be very realistic, right? And so NASCAR had rules and certain cars could run, and he wants to stay within that to keep it like this realism, like real life. And so I appreciate that. I think that is what makes it really cool. It's got to be a car body that raced in NASCAR between those years, 59 to 64, right?
I believe that's what it is. Sometimes,
and then the zipper tops the zipper tops are a little older. You can go to like the
zipper
50.
tops are
56 to 59,
55, 56 to 59. That's it.
No,
56 to 59.
Yeah.
4 years old.
And then the hardtop ones,
Yeah, so
and then the hardtop ones are 59 to 64.
59 to 64.
But again, you gotta go and look. You can't race a 59 Cadillac. They didn't race any zipper top Cadillacs. They just didn't exist. And so they did exist in real life, right? But they didn't race. So you have to make sure that the car you're going to race actually raced in NASCAR. Now, it doesn't have to look like a NASCAR. I mean, it does have to look like a NASCAR. I'm sorry. I'm getting you guys all confused. We were just talking about this. It can be a fantasy livery, but it has to look like an original livery. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty simple. It needs to be graphics that remind you of those cars. All you have to do is look at the pictures and get an idea what they do. Not real fancy
one
fonts.
Telltale of that. Yeah, always the hoods of the cars usually would have the cubic inches or the horsepower. Now, I was talking with Frank from New York, and he is getting New York Modifieds is going to start making a print because the one decals that are hard to get are the cubic inch and horsepower ones. So I was talking to, I didn't tell you this, I didn't tell Harry or you this, Dave. So Frank has talked to the guy who owns New York Modifieds,
Ron,
to make a sheet of horsepower and cubic inch decals for 125th. So that'll help a lot of guys too. And I think it's only $10 a sheet that he wants to charge, which is not bad. So he's going to see about getting that done. So that'll help everybody with finding decals and stuff like that.
So will you post a link to that when that's available, George?
Yeah, when that happens, we will. And
awesome.
That's just to help out. And then as far as drivers go, there's only one place to get trade drivers, unless you're serious about building. You get a hold of Dave. Is unfortunately Rusket drivers are through Electric Dreams. Okay. So Rusket drivers are the trade drivers, and I mean, if you want to use a full figure driver, you can with a full figure and with an interior, that's fine also. But if you want to make it easier, not to deal with that, you could get a tray interior, which I'm going to show in a video how to make a tray interior, which is really easy. It's just a for sale sign, some 1/8 styrene rod, and I also used Dave's trying to get scared.
Man down.
I also experimented and used the CA glue that has the spray applicator, and I actually made a roll cage with it. It actually worked out pretty good and pretty easy because you don't have to wait for the glue to dry. You shoot the applicator, it doesn't do anything to the surface of the for sale sign, and it works really good. And that's how I was able to build a roll cage for this car right here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's past that mesh. There's a roll cage.
Yeah, it looks good.
And there's a driver figure, which is the trade driver, and that's what I did with this one. And I'll be talking about doing one of those, which is not very hard to do. It's pretty simple, but you could get the trade drivers through Electric Dreams. They're Rusket drivers. Okay. They also have 132nd drivers too. So,
what about 3D printed drivers? Would that be okay to do if you created your
3D
own tray?
printed drivers or trade drivers or full drivers? That's fine as long as you have a driver in there. It is required to have a driver in the car. The whole idea of this is also about the modeling. So, if you do a lot of details of your modeling, that's cool. That's a real big plus with Harry. I mean, they're gonna get banged around, but that's how it was. They got beat up.
Yeah.
But attention to details is everything with the Proxy as well. It's the details of it that really is, makes it the modeling. We always say it's about the modeling. If you want to concentrate on just doing the modeling, you could get, like I did with that car right there, is the H&R chassis, and just throw an H&R chassis. You don't have to worry about the scratch building part if you want to concentrate on that more.
Right.
Which is fine, and you don't want to worry about dealing with soldering and stuff, which, I understand some people just don't like to solder. So that's why we left that option for that chassis. So you could buy it. The chassis that we recommend that has the wheels that you could switch out with the 28 125 Paul Gage tires.
Yeah, I think that. See, where was I going to go with that? I think you're right. There are some guys that are just a little nervous about soldering. My video this past week was making fun of myself, my inability to solder and what I learned, and hopefully somebody else learns the same thing.
You know, honestly, with the soldering that you did, the really key part of it is it's the process of being patient with it.
Yeah.
Because people, okay, here's an example. So people in refrigeration trailers think that you stick a product on it and the damn thing cools the product. It's not how that works. The whole idea of it is to move hot air out of the box. So when you're soldering, you are putting heat not just to the solder, but you're also heating the area, which is all the brass. And you have to wait and let the process work its way, which is let everything melt. And you're going to see it melt and you're going to see it flow because it's going to get real shiny. It's going to get hot. Don't worry about the brass getting hot. You want it to get hot because that's the heat transfer. And everything is just going to go whoosh, fill everything in nicely. And if you need a little more, get a little bit more solder, add more heat. That's how you do it. Because if you just stick it on there and just kind of wait 10 seconds and then you're going, oh my God, it's not soldering. Well, you're not giving it time to heat up so that everything will absorb the heat and the flux will work and move the solder around to your work area.
Yeah.
So that's really the key right there. That thing where you talked about wrapping the tip, that's a great idea. That's, I didn't see that before. I usually clean the tip, but wrapping that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it worked really well. And it was just a random video that I watched. And then I felt vindicated when Shotgun Dave said that's how he does his.
There you go.
Always done everybody's that way. Different. In fact, they got Harry doing it that way too. So, and it's the best way to tin your iron. Best way.
Yeah, it worked really well, and I'm super impressed. So I'm excited about building my own chassis. But for the guys out there that want to run that H&R, I mean, it is an inexpensive, maybe a little cheaper way to get in and build one. But I mean, I would put the challenge out there that part of this proxy, it is about the process of building something from scratch.
Yeah, but the modeling part is the process as well.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to be real detailed with your model, then you could just,
you buy yourself some time with that chassis.
You do. I mean, you could start that way, and then if you feel comfortable, then get into actually building the chassis. The next car I'm going to do a video on a simple chassis, and a simple chassis is that orange car Harry showed there with the alien logo.
Yeah.
So I built like 6 or 7 of these, and I gave one to Harry, and I got like 5 or 6 of them laying here. Now I got 8, and I got that one. So I'm gonna have another one. So I got a lot of land barges because I had a lot of time to fool around and just build. And there's a simple chassis you could build, and like Dave said, that the heavier they are, the better they do handle. So you do want some weight on it. Like that one right there, I need to add lead weight to it because it's still too light on the chassis, and that's an H&R chassis. So I know, Dave, you've said that before where, adding weight to the cars does help. There's his right there.
I'm totally building a secret weapon this time. This thing has an 1/8-inch plate of brass in the middle right here. This sucker weighs a lot. We're going to see how it works this time.
See how it works, yeah.
But you experiment on your track. If you have a Carrera track will work just fine. That's how I started with. It doesn't have to be a wood track. If you get a Carrera track like what you did on yours, is fine, Marty.
Yeah.
As long as you have a track to run it on.
Right. So I think that part of going through the process of the showdown, I think I was so concerned about how it would perform that kind of got in the way of what the proxy was really about. And Harry, when I reached out to him and said your track, I don't know how to tune to your track, and he was like, just send the model because that's what I want to see. I want to see the model and not to get caught up. And I know a lot of guys ask a million questions like me. They want to build the fastest car they can build, but I think that that gets in the way. It is about the modeling.
Well, these chassis too, they're all so similar. The scratch-built chassis are so similar because with this time the rules have been modified for this next year, inline only, and that eliminates the cars that lap everybody 46 times because they're angle winder and all that stuff. It takes away from the fun of it. At least I think it does.
Keep them equal.
Yeah.
Right. It keeps the cars are very, very equal. They're similar, very much so. Even if one weighs a little more or a little less, the body floats this, whatever, because of the configuration of the cars. Well, you saw, I don't know, I mean, you were watching the live streams just like everybody else. Those cars were all over the map. If the fastest, the thing you think is going to be the fastest one that won the fast lap challenge, like my car, I won the fast lap challenge with my car. And then I ended up 13th. You know, it was like the fastest car is not going to win. It's just the way it is. There's too many other variables there. You know, there's 4 different people that have never seen your car before are racing your car. That is a huge factor that everybody forgets about.
Right.
You know, and when Mark Thomas gets your car, it's going to run great. But you know what?
Was he running in the blue lane?
And if I'm pulling the trigger, I ain't going to be keeping up with Mark Thomas. It's not going to happen. So, you know, same car, different people, different outcomes. It's just part of it.
Yeah, I got excited.
There's a lot of good, really good chassis builders. So Thunderjet is one of them. Mark Thomas, Dave. That Thunderjet built a real trippy one. That one he just sold in the auction. That thing hauled ass.
Yeah,
that was a fast car. And then again, you know, that's cool and stuff. But the reason why we want to keep a simple chassis design is because that car really is, if it's driven well, it pretty much will walk away from everything because it's just a great built car.
right.
You know, it's very different, you know, very experimental. And you don't want to force people to have to make some experimental thing and get frustrated with it. So that if we keep it simple inline, all the cars are equal. I mean, you could refine an inline one if you want, little things, but it still stays inline and it keeps it just more easier for the first person to come in and not have to worry about building an exotic chassis.
Right.
You know,
and not all of us are engineers.
The cool thing about Harry's is too is that there's no gear restriction either. You can run whatever gear set you want to put in your car. You know, we just recommend 927 because that's what we all use. It seems to be the best all around. But like, you know, some of the guys run a different ring or crown gear in the cars because they think they're going to get a little more top end out of it, or they want to make it a little punchier at the beginning. It just depends on what you want to do, but 927 seems to be the happy medium, so that's why we recommend it. But you can put whatever you want and experiment. It's fun to experiment.
Right. Well, I mean, that's part of this, right? Is getting, you know, building the car and experimenting with it and trying to make it its best before you throw it in a box and ship it out to Missouri.
Right.
So is this going to be ran at Harry's track, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we could spoil it or not, but you're going to make it there, George?
Yeah. Usually I should be able to go in the summer. I usually go in the summer because
it's
like I said,
George and I will
winter tougher.
That's awesome.
We're gonna be there to run the cars. So, I've already made my plans. I'll be there no matter what.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I was super happy with how my car performed. Middle of the pack. That's fantastic. The wheels stayed on it, right? That's kind of how I looked at it. It's like it made it in
Harry
one piece.
liked the story behind it too. So, you know, when people
that was important to me, right?
That was cool.
That was an important part for me. I wanted to build something that had a history for me and meant something to me, and the fact that I got to share that with Harry, and how Harry reacted to that in the video. Oh man, like I got a little choked up a little bit, to be honest with you, because he appreciated, you know, that history and that story, and so that just made the whole. I think it's probably why I'm so excited about the Lamb Barge. My experience with my first Proxy with you guys was so enjoyable. It really was, and I wanted to share that with anybody else that would love to have fun in slot cars. Right?
Hey, I mean, Robert made a really good comment. He says you have to build the car easy to drive. That is key. That is
right there.
Above everything else, that is the key right there. Because of at least four different people driving your car. It doesn't matter if it's the fastest one out there if you can't keep the damn thing in the slot. So build a car that's really easy to drive, and you'd be surprised how many of those are the winning car. Even though they're half a second slower than everybody else, they still win because they're easy to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Michael Squires. His kitty chassis is just a couple of rails and a guide, nothing fancy. But that car hooked up and ran during the race. It was quick.
See, this is the excitement part about it is that, like, for example, Mr. Tucci, Harry was ecstatic. When you see first time builders, that's very exciting because that's like somebody made an attempt. Not too many people want to make attempts. It's like he made an attempt, man. That's fantastic. That's what we want. And then you start improving yourself with every car you build. I mean, you start going
Right.
back, oh, I can do this. Or you could take your existing car and even improve that and then send it again as an improved version of it. So, I mean, it's just that's the exciting part of it is the first time builders. And then we get repeats, Michael Squire, Tad, hopefully John Tucci again and
That's right.
yourself, people come back for more and that's the fun of it because you could build what you want, out of whatever within the rules, or you could build something yourself what you
Yeah.
want. Because like I said, a lot of things I built on my own, like because I wanted to build them because I can.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it.
John Albright says the biggest mistake made by new scratch builders or when soldering in general is using too much solder. And he is correct.
That too. That is correct. You don't want to blob. And then also the diameter of the solder is important too. If you get that real thick stuff, that's going to be harder to melt. And please do not use silver solder. You don't need silver solder. People get the idea that you use silver solder like you're racing a drag car and launching it into more
I don't know what
commercial.
gauge it is. My solder, I use the thinnest solder I can find. It is super, super thin.
Yep, that's
Like
good stuff right there. That'll melt quick.
Yeah, it does.
Then,
It melts.
will transfer. I think it's 0.8. I think is what it is. I think I have it.
Yeah, it's really, really thin. It's like, I mean, 047 wire isn't as fat as that, so it's pretty thin stuff. And liquid flux, if you have paste flux, you can use it. I started out using paste, but liquid flux is the way. It's just.
And what's the brand that you recommend?
Stay clean.
Stay clean.
Stay clean.
Yeah. And George mentioned we had a conversation over the weekend. There you go. Stay clean.
Stay clean. Yeah. Amazon.
Like not forgetting to, after you're done, washing that chassis so that your brass and your stuff doesn't corrode.
Yeah. It'll get on the wires and everything.
It's not so much the brass. The brass will just kind of mellow, but the damn steel turns to rust immediately.
Yeah. And
the wheel, everything.
And one of the things that happened to me, and I think it was last week in the live stream, and it's what helped me understand what my mistake was in soldering, is that oxidation does not transfer heat.
Right.
No, it does not.
And once I knew that simple truth, it changed everything for me. So if you don't clean that chassis, that wire oxidizes, and then it won't take solder because it doesn't, like metals do not want to become one because there's oxidation between them and the heat won't transfer.
Look at it as like welding. Welding, I used to do a lot of welding in another job I had, and you got to clean your surface, and then obviously the tip of your welding, everything has to be clean. Otherwise, you get really bad welds. It's the same principle in a way. Just everything has to be clean. The surface, your tip, your work area, start clean, and then everything goes together real nicely.
Yeah, take a Scotch-Brite pad or sandpaper and sand up the brass, make it shiny, get all that junk off of there, and try not to touch it with your fingers because the oil in your fingers will create a barrier also that is hard to solder through. People don't think about that either.
Yeah,
but it clean and everything clean, and you'll have no problems.
Yeah. So this is a question for the chat. How many of you are out there thinking about building a land barge for the Proxy? I mean, I'm looking through the comments, and it sounds like a lot of guys are talking about it. But it would be cool to see how many come out of the chat. I mean, how many were in the showdown this past time? There were 20. I forget the total number of cars between both classes.
I don't remember either. It was a lot.
Plus the Nats, right?
The most ever.
Cars or
it
more?
Was the most ever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, the Nats was really just a fun run because they weren't gonna race any of those because I mean, those are just like you don't want to take your show car and then run it around a NASCAR track.
Right.
That's why that wasn't really a race, but the modifieds and then the showdown cars were actual races because that's what
I think everybody needs to know that too. That this one's a little bit different because George is right. Usually, we did the Nats, we did the hot rods. It wasn't really a race. It was more of a parade. We did parade laps with them. the land barges are going to get raced, so they're going to get banged up. So just so you know that ahead of time, they're actually going to get raced. So just so you know.
Yeah. Mine came back. It has a few little scuffs, but it's not too bad.
They never come back to destroyed. You know, we make jokes about it or whatever. But you got, Rubbin's racing, right? So you end up with a few scuffs and scratches and all those kinds of things. I use them as badges of honor. I don't clean them off. I leave them on there. I think it's cool.
So, Greg down in Clearwater says he's building one. Anthony says he's thinking about it. Jeff G said he's building 2.
Yeah, we know Jeff. Jeff's building a zipper top. Cool. That's zipper awesome. Top, if you guys could build a zipper top, that's a little bit more of a challenge. Cut and stuff. I mean, that's...
Michael Squire says the barge is stated and zipper top is ordered.
Yeah, Michael Squire's building.
Danny's thinking about it. Danny's thinking about it. Tom is not sure yet. He doesn't know anything about it.
What do you mean, Danny said he's thinking about it? Are you sandbagging, Danny? Because you sent me pictures, brother. So I seem to remember a Mopar of some sort on your bench.
Robert Lee said his is done already.
Yeah, I believe it. Robert's pretty quick. Robert built some great cars.
John Albright said that he's got an old car he built. He's thinking about upgrading it and sending it in. That's cool.
Remember, you could use an H&R chassis, guys. You don't have
H&R if you can't. If it's not a matter of you can't, it's a matter of maybe you don't have time. A lot of us are super busy. People got jobs and things to do that they don't have time to sit down at the bench and just build. But the H&R chassis for what, $60, George?
Yeah, it's about
$60. You got to buy tires and a new motor for that. So under $75, you got a chassis ready to rock. All you got to do is build a model and put it on there, and you can send it in, and it's totally legal.
Sunshine Speedway wants to know, I didn't see any entry limit with the land barge proxy. With the rise of interest, will they be capping the entries?
There is on there. It's one entry,
but
just one zipper top and one hard top.
Yep. So Sunshine, there's your answer. They won't cap the total entries, but one per person for each class.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. Tad's building one. Michael Squire's trying to talk him into building a convertible too. Don Young says he has an H&R chassis. That's cool.
There you go.
Dan 3Bean says I have materials. Danny's going to hold me accountable. There you go. Man, that's a lot of cars. I mean, we just rattle off 10 or 12 cars.
Yeah, just right here.
Just right here in this chat. That's fantastic.
And there's quite a few guys that are on, Home Racing World that don't really follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
So, there'll be quite a few other cars there.
Well, it's definitely something that it's gained my interest, and it's just fun to be a part of. To watch other people racing. Yeah, it is. It's very addicting. Slot Car Legends of Champions question: are there any 124 scale proxies? Well, this is a 124, 125th scale proxy.
Yeah, and we call it 125th because most of the model kits are 125th scale.
Right.
So
if it's something that you can't, that's only available 124th, I mean, Harry allows it. If you look at the difference between the two scales, that there is a difference.
Yeah.
The 124th is more of a bigger car and a little bit bulkier, and a lot of static model guys prefer 124 because the things are a little bit larger, so you could do more detail to them compared to 125th. 125th is a tad bit smaller, but to us, it seems more realistic as far as the size of it goes. It's just we just prefer the 125th, but it doesn't mean that those are not allowed. If you find one,
there are some that are only available in 124th, like that 37 Ford you have in mind, George. That's 124th scale because there aren't any 125th scale in that car. So, but they're noticeable. You put it on the track with the 125th scale cars, and it's noticeable. They're bigger.
57 T-Bird, I don't think raced in the zipper top.
Nope.
Now Edsel, I think a Chrysler did. A Chrysler 300 was it? Let me look. See, I got this little Bible here called the NASCAR Chronicles, and it lists the cars that race, including zipper tops and all. So
All right. So
50,
Greg,
57.
George is gonna look that up for us.
I would just about guarantee that 57 Thunderbird, no.
Michael Squire
You know.
says they became eligible in 58 when they got a back seat.
Yeah, the 58 T-Birds is a different car altogether, and it's okay.
That was a hard top.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, no T-Bird. So 57. So like the Edsel, I think there's a 55, 50. No, that's not it. It looks like it, but I can't tell. Hold on. So, yeah, the Edsel is the one that did run. Edsel, a Chrysler 300, I think was one of them too.
Yep. Chrysler 300.
Yeah.
That's the car that Harry just finished.
Yeah, that's right.
The Tim Flock car.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
I just put the link out there to the Home Racing World proxy information. John Albright had posted it earlier, so that's a repeat. But Tom, I'll put it out there in that Facebook group later. So, I mean, what else do we need to know about the proxy? Do you think would help people for their first time?
You know, I remember on the live stream that we did last week, everybody was concerned about insert wheel versus the steely wheel, that deal. So I wanted to show, this is my car, and I'm using where am I at? I'm using the insert wheels, and these are the wheels from the model kit. They literally just, they couldn't fit any more perfect.
Wow.
So if you're building a kit and it's got the right wheel in it, by all means use these. They're, the insert wheels are $1 or $2 cheaper, I think, than the Steely wheels. So, but if not, those Steely wheels are the way to go because you don't have to do anything. They're ready to run.
They look great.
And they look fantastic. Yeah, they look great painted. I usually paint all of mine because not too many cars race with chrome wheels. So, but yeah, I wanted to show that to everybody that the insert wheels work just fine, and the model kit inserts for 1/25th scale fit perfectly. They're made that way. They're made to fit those wheels. So, just to ease anybody's mind who's worried about that.
Yeah, somebody asked about a soldering iron. There was one back there, something about a certain brand. If you can use a soldering iron, you can use the ones from Amazon, the Wellers. They also do fine. And then start off small with a soldering iron, and then if you feel you want to go up to something a little bit better, you could. But Weller soldering iron is a good soldering iron.
Yeah, especially if you have a little station where you can adjust it.
Yeah. George, Danny sent me an one off of Amazon that was like $54 and looked like a pretty nice station. Yeah, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on your soldering iron.
No, I've actually upgraded lately. So
have you?
Yeah, it's a Hako. I just got a Hako. So, but I mean, you don't have to get a Hako.
Yeah.
Stick with that, Weller one at first, and then when you feel comfortable, if you feel like you want to replace the iron with a little bit more, then you can. But
Slot Card League of Champions asks, "Is there a tire width restriction?"
Yeah, there is. Part number
rules. Yeah.
So there's only 2 tires that will, depending on the wheel. So if it's a no rib tire, there's I think it's 26 120 and 28 120. So 28 is the diameter of the tire, and 26 is the diameter of the tire. There's 2 different sizes, and then there's the 28 125 and 26 125. Those are ribbed tires that have a rib, and those are the tires that are only allowed. You could only true them down to 26 or 25 millimeters, the minimum. The H&R chassis, it does sit low. It's in the rules, and they're all updated about that. And there are photos. So if you go to the rules that Marty just posted again, it's going to show all that in photos, and there will be separate videos explaining that as well. Everything's really detailed there. That'll answer all your questions with tires and everything. But there's only a certain size tire and wheel we're using in the series.
Tad asks, what do you use for the 2 bars over the back glass on the barges?
I'm assuming you're meaning the reinforcement bars, Tad. Is that what you're talking about? Like what it was on my. Oh, I don't want to move again. I'll knock the computer off on the floor again. Like the one I did on my NASCAR, on my MT car. Is that where the thin styrene? Yeah. See, I do this. I have
Decals.
I don't have nothing fancy either. So what I did was, don't mind all the handwriting on the side, but that is a piece of clear decal paper. That what I did was I went on my computer and I printed the largest letter I that I could with the font, and I just printed that on a small piece of paper. And then what I do is I could just use an X-Acto knife and a straight edge, and I can cut whatever size strip I want out of the I, and you put that decal on the window. That's how I make those reinforcement bars on the windows.
There you go. That's a great idea.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about glue like Michael Squire saying a thin styrene. Yeah, that would be cool, but then you got to glue that sucker on there somehow, and I get nervous putting glue around windows. I always mess it up.
Yeah, I always mess it up too. They fog my windows, and
right.
I had to go to like a canopy glue.
Yeah, it's really the only thing you should use.
It takes forever to dry.
It does. It's like days.
Yeah.
So I use 5-minute epoxy usually for my windows because it doesn't fog the glass.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize that wouldn't fog the gas.
I like this idea because it's has a more scale appearance too. I mean, a piece of styrene, even the thinnest stuff you could get, if you looked at it in scale, it would probably be about 2 inches thick on the car. Where this just has a much more scale appearance because it's a decal. It's very thin.
It's the 5-minute epoxy stuff. It's Bob Smith, but
Bob
then other
Smith, yes,
but other hobby places will put their names on it. Like this is from Anderson Hobbies, which RC, which isn't too far. So they put their names. This stuff right here, it's 2 parts. This works really well. It works better than the JB Weld stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well.
You can buy it at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. I think so. Somebody said they don't have any more at Hobby Lobby, but if you go online, you could find it as well. Amazon.
Yeah, I just bought this about a month ago at Hobby Lobby.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So they may have brought it back.
A 15-minute, a 5-minute one. I think there's a 30-minute one. There's a couple different brands.
I've tried them all. 5 minutes seems to be the best. It actually goes a little bit longer than 5 minutes. You have plenty of time to move things around, and then 5 minutes isn't too long to hold something in place either while that stuff kicks off. So.
Yeah. That's what I used when I built my roll cage for the first build.
It's what I glue my interior trays in with and everything else. It's just good stuff.
The question I have is, are most of you guys doing your own decals for your cars, or are you going out and finding decal kits?
It depends on the car for me. Like, and again, I can't, as long as the car is white, you can print color onto clear decal paper and it'll look just like George's car does right there. But if you try to put that over any other color, the decal practically disappears. So unless you're printing black, like I said with this, and then you can also print on white decal paper, but then you always end up with that little white line around your decal that I don't like. So we've been talking about this all week, George and I and Harry, trying to get decals for these barges. But Slicks decals, Gopher decals, they have like generic pages with just numbers and mom and pop sponsorship stuff on them. That's pretty much what we use most of the time.
Yeah, when I did I had to use the white paper when I did the numbers for mine, and I had to cut it so close to eliminate that little white line around the edge. Yeah. It makes it tough. But
here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and put the rules page up because there's still some questions.
Well, I can, if you're going to do that, I can give you the full screen so we can all see it.
Here, let me find my share computer. Okay. I had it here, now it's disappeared. 1 second. Share screen. Okay, here we go. So we'll go to Oh, that's us. So here's the rules page. Can you see that?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So this is the home racing world land barge and zipper tops. They changed it. So right here is to late model 59 to 64 is the what we're talking about, which is the hardtop cars, which is an example here. And then right here it says so you can model one of each for the event. We're also featuring the famous convertible, aka zipper top series. This was a short-lived but popular one that features some incredible racing. We're modeling the main 4-year period only, 56 to 59. So again, right here it states one lamp barge with the year rule, 59 to 64. The car must be race series, no El Caminos, so forth. Hearst Snap 4. Google is your friend. And then we speak about the zipper top. Here's an example one right here. So there's a picture one, and there's an example here. This is a 57 Chevy. So you see, 57 Chevy zipper top. If you want to do 57, um, right here, common sense, and we get into the date of the event. You could fictional paint schemes are allowed, but they must appear period correct. So, like I said, the horsepower has to be on the hood, and just how the liveries look. Just look at Google. There's a lot of examples, and our sponsors here. Mail-in deadline is July 17th. So the car has to be there July 17th. If it gets there July 18th, it's not going to run. Um, right here is a video that I made that was for the first part of it, which was on the cars themselves, and this was a live event right here when we adjusted the rules. And this talks about the clearance of the chassis. So Harry had made a video explaining the clearance for this H&R chassis. So on 3/32 minimum. So if you shave these tires far too down to 3/32, the car ain't gonna run on the track because this is gonna drag, and you do not want to drag the track. That's why we have these small videos explaining these right here. So you have the track itself, and we state right here, no chassis mix, no plastic, wood, or CT, etc. Older Pro Track or current H&R chassis. Uh, other prefab brands. So those are the two. There are older ProTrack chassis around. That you could use that if you want. Um, Guides. Any commercial guide will fit is groove depth 8.50 millimeter, slot depth, flush braid. Scratch wheel is preference choice but not required. Inline only. We're all making it easier for everything. A mix of steel and brass. No minimum weight. It's a barge. Again, stating the chassis that are available if you don't want to build one. Track clearance is an eighth is good minimum, but can go as low as 3/32. So that's the minimum right there. And then here are the brackets, the standard narrow bracket. Here are your wheels. So there's two axle sizes. There's 1/8 and 3/32. So right here we have 1/8 for 3/32 Steely wheels, and then we have the no rib 1/8, which is a different tire because there's no rib here. And then you have the 1650, which are the inserts. So it's CB wheels all the way around. On the Pro Track, you could use the foams that are on the front of the chassis that come with the chassis. That's fine. That's stated on here, but you have to change the rear tires because what comes with the chassis when you order it is silicone tires, and those aren't going to work. So that's why you have to switch them out to the PG tires. And this is the motor. And we have the tire sizes right here, 26 120. These are the no rib ones. 28 120, and then 28 125 are the rib ones. 26 125. And right here, H&R 27 millimeter foam tires. I think those are for the front only. Right here is stated. So if these come on the chassis that you ordered, that's fine. You could use these. And then again, it's stating the land barge and then the zipper top. No resin. It just tells you, all the, you know, things that we don't want, El Caminos or anything like that. Um, Modeling notes. This series follows the same spirit as 1/32 Showball, and right here it states it's all about the modeling. This is where we always say that as much as performance. Try to recreate a car that will look the part on the track that time. Added scale detail is highly encouraged. That's why I say just concentrate on the modeling. And then wheels and tires must be inside the body. No enlarged fenders or flares. Must have interior simple flat stock or driver and roll bar accepted. No Lexan trays. They look horrible, and they do look horrible. So you don't want to use that. Must have glass in place, either from the kit, clear, plastic. You have, you had to make is fine. Body track clearance in the H332 as well. Models will be painted to match the style of NASCAR used at the time. Either model a one-to-one prototype or create your own style. Again, common sense. There's no shortage of photographs for you to use as a guide. Wheels should look like the time period, basically plain steel wheels. And then, an LMP style wheels and stuff like that. And either inserts or CB design steelies are fine. And right here are all the links to all the parts. So if I click here, this is going to go to the parts. I don't know if it did that you're looking for. So everything's here, and then there's information if you want to contact any of us. Dave, myself, and Harry are there. Have a question, and that's basically it. I mean, there's that's how the whole deal is. So I mean, if well, hope that helps.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that if you've looked at other proxy races, there is a list of rules and specifications that are a mile long, and I love that the fact that this is pretty simple, but you got to follow the rules, and Harry's very adamant about that, and it's understandable. You create rules for a reason because he wants the cars to be a certain way, right? You guys are passionate about the modeling piece of these cars and making them fun for everyone. So.
And there's certain examples we have, like the last series that we did, the Winterfest one. He got some beautifully modeled 1/25th scale modifieds. We're not running those. He felt really bad. I saw the pictures and he showed me the videos of them. They are fantastic looking, but they are the wrong scale.
Yeah.
That was the bummer part, and he's like, I feel bad. Harry has a big heart. And I hope you guys understand that. A lot of people think, he's no grumpy. He's not. He feels bad when he gets stuff like that. He can't run it. Sometimes you got to put it back in the box and send it back. So you want to be really clear on what you do, and don't send something that we're not going to run, because you're going to waste. You're going to probably get frustrated, and he's going to feel bad. And what are you supposed to do? It's not in the rules. You pack it up and send it back. Sorry. So that's why the rules are pretty defined there, and that's why there's little videos and breakdowns of everything, so everybody clearly understands what we're talking about.
There's no reason for somebody to misinterpret anything. Yeah.
No, there's not even one page of rules. I mean, really, if you look at it, it's mostly video, but the rules that are actually there are, I mean, it couldn't be any more easy to follow. It's just
your live stream last week was great. I thought it outlined everything. And if you want to go out and see a lot of variety of cars that have already been built, that live stream is great because Harry goes through a bunch of cars. George goes through some cars that he's built. Like, that gives you some great ideas. So I would recommend going out and watching that live stream. And after you guys did that, I was like, they don't really need to come on my live stream on Tuesday, but I'm going to make them anyway.
That's fine.
I'm excited about this thing.
No,
so now if anybody has any questions, it's a good time to cover, because I went through the rules, and then we get
any questions from the chat.
Yeah, hey, make sure you put question. It's a question or something like that. So, but if we missed anything, I mean,
I don't think there was much to miss. Yeah, it's all stated in the rules, and all you have to do is ask. And that's the big thing, is if you do have a question. I mean, I think I sent a request. I had a question for Harry, and like 10 minutes later, he responded to me. So like it, and George is the same way. Dave's the same way. I just asked those guys questions. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Let's see. Sounds like I shouldn't use my Eldon from the early 70s. No, Vin, I don't think that qualifies.
Nope.
It's all.
See, when I hear it, not trying to pick on Vin, but when I hear stuff like that, I feel like I'm on the Peanuts. When the kids listen to the teacher. That's what I feel like everybody's listening to when I talk. I guess they didn't understand. I don't know. But again, I'm not picking on Vin. He's just making a joke by saying that. Yeah, Eldon car won't work, buddy.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, people do ask some of those questions. It's like
something else too. We don't want to this race isn't until July. You guys have
plenty of time.
There's so much time.
You don't have to get them all done next week. So take your time, and if there's questions, ask. Choose the right model car. You don't have to just jump on one because you know what I mean. It's like we got plenty of time. Everybody.
Well, it's taken me 2 weeks to get my model kit here.
Well, I know. Yes, you're right.
Hobby Link had a great selection, but like they finally just
they're a little slow, but once they get going, they will send your stuff. That I've ordered from Hobby Link, and they're out of Atlanta, Georgia. It's not like they're out of like
I know
California or something.
Oh yeah, 62 Bel Air.
I got this car on eBay for $12.
Fantastic.
That's a good deal.
It cost $4 to ship it, and I paid for the damn kit.
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of model kits out there, everyone. I mean, model roundup. That's another thing we should talk about. So model roundup. Let me give you examples because some people laugh.
Yeah, like where do you go to get model kits? eBay is a great place.
eBay is a great source. If you just gotta stay on it, look every single day. But there's a million model kits on eBay. There's a lot of people that have collectible model kits too. You don't want to pay $60-$70 for a model kit to cut up, but or maybe you do. I don't have a problem doing that. If I had to, I would. It doesn't. I don't believe in collectibles.
There's the Ford Galaxy. That's one's available as a model kit. There's a lot of those, and a lot of those cars race. Keep some of them away from them. Keep in mind, I know people will go, God, there's a lot of Galaxies, but there was a lot of Galaxies in that year.
Super popular car.
No, they were a popular car like all the other ones. You could go with a Impala. This is the first one I go for the series. This one right here. You could go with a Dodge 300. It's the Maverick one. It looks like a drag racer. This one actually did race. It's kind of like a Polara. So if you do, somebody did ask me this question on one of my comments on my video. This car is allowed. You see, this is a fantasy livery. I don't have any hood stuff because they ran out of. But I mean, that's basically what it would be, a fantasy livery. If you could get a name on there of some sponsor. I just didn't do that. Here's another one right here. This is a Mercury Marauder. So
yeah, it's a good looking car.
East Tennessee motor, and this is a full interior. So I mean, there's a lot of cars available, kits out there, and then the Catalina, which you saw, the Junior Johnson, and then the Starliner. What else is out there, Dave? A couple of model kits. Starliner. What else? And the zipper top, you have the '57 Chevy. You have to cut.
Yeah.
You get the zipper top. There's the hard tops you could cut. That's the challenge. If you guys could really do the modeling, cutting the top is a big deal, to shape that and stuff. But
yeah, that's going to be a challenge. Daryl asks, can the AMT slot car body be used? And I'm not sure what he means by that.
I think that Harry's wanting model kits only.
Model kits.
It's in the rules even though because like Jimmy Flintstone makes a lot of really cool resin bodies and whatnot, but I think he wants to keep this model kits only.
Okay, there you go, Daryl. Okay. Not seeing any more questions. Is there anything we didn't cover?
Let's see. Cover model kits, wheels, tires. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. I gave a source for tray drivers. The tray itself, you could use for sale sign. You don't have to use go get some styrene. You could use a for sale sign. That's cheap, 99 cents at Walmart.
Right.
And then the styrene rod, or you could styrene rod I use. It's like at $3 at a hobby store. It's the 1/8. And what I use is the. Let me show you.
Is that for the roll cage?
Yeah, I actually did this. I actually used this, and it actually worked very well. So this is CA glue with a spray activator. So what I hate about doing roll cage, and I was telling Dave I hate doing roll cages because I'm not great at it, is I'm not patient because you have to sit there and hold freaking bar on there, and it doesn't stay, and it falls. Yeah. That pisses me off. So I went to do this just to try it, and I just put the glue, and I went, and that stuff went, and it stayed. So I was like, oh, hallelujah, praise the Lord. That just makes it so much easier. I don't have to sit there and UV glue is good also, but at the point UV glue is not as strong. I think it's CA, but you can use UV glue. I've used UV glue before, but make sure you paint over it because this will be painted over. That also adds a little strength. I'm not trying to bag UV glue. UV glue is
Yeah.
another good one for
Right.
windshields and stuff, but I would rather use something more epoxy like because what happens when the car takes an impact, and everybody has to remember this, that's why your bumpers, make sure you epoxy your bumpers or you're gonna have a bumper fly off. And
That's a good
that does
comment.
happen. Yeah. And also the driver itself, Slotting Plus makes small little screws, or if you could find small little screws and you drill a little hole into the head of the driver and you put a screw in there because if you glue the driver, and this happened to me and Harry to that
Yep.
first Lamb barge I did, Harry told me you're gonna have to screw the driver in because he drove it around the track and the driver popped off,
Yeah.
so he had to take the interior off. So
I put a
gluing the
screw in one of my
yeah, put a
drivers.
screw in it'd be easier. I mean, I don't think epoxy would hold that well either on that type of plastic, so a screw would
Mm.
work good. So make sure you screw in your driver
Well,
from,
those
the
things are
bottom.
those land barges weigh a ton, and they're going to take a
Yeah,
serious impact when they hit stuff, and just the inertia that driver is going to depart the car if he's not screwed in. Because the interior trays, I make mine out of playing cards, so you know how flimsy that is. That thing's flopping all over the place. So put a screw in there. I've got something new over here. I'm going to try. I'm going to steal it. My son got this for Christmas from my wife's boss. It is a 3D printing pen, and I want to try to make roll bars with it. I think I can do it. You can just draw whatever shape you want, and it's in 3 dimensions, and it
cool.
melts the plastic. I'm going to try this. It's the weirdest thing I ever saw. So,
Mad P3, he said that 3D printing filament would probably work good for roll cages. I never really thought of that too.
Yeah.
yeah,
There you go. So any advice you guys again, roll cages are really not even 132nd is a little bit harder because it's smaller.
yeah.
You could use Q-tips, which are made out of plastic
I
or
make mine out
styrene
of
rod. You make it out of what?
brass. I make
Yeah, you can do it out of brass.
roll cages out of brass. If you buy the KNS brass that's in the blue package instead of the red package, that is annealed brass. You can bend it with your hands to
And
any
it,
shape
yeah.
you want, and it's very easy to bend, and you can still solder to it. And it's just easier to make the roll cage out of brass because I can, like you, George, sit there holding it with glue till it, oh god, and then it
Yeah,
moves.
that's
Yeah, it's
frustrating.
easier. Just solder it up with brass.
Before I built that roll cage on the other one, I was doing it and I didn't have like UV glue or nothing, and it was like it wouldn't stay, and I was like, I got like the first roll cage and tray went and threw it in the trash because
I've
it
had
didn't work
that
out. And so that's some
UV
of the
glue.
things you go through.
I don't like that UV glue, man. It reminds me of when I was a kid and I played with Tinker Toys. You put it all together, and if you just touch it, the whole goddamn thing falls apart. And that's what that UV glue does. It never sticks to anything. It just
Yeah.
falls apart. So I won't use it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Baking soda, there you go. Water mix is a great for UV. There you go.
Which is
Yep.
what that activator is, right? And it's like spray baking soda.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. I just know it works well for putting Kevin's shelves and stuff together. Like signs, and it actually worked for the roll cage just pretty good. So I was kind of surprised. But don't need eBay for this series.
That's from Harry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Harry
you should be able
has.
to find model kits.
Yeah, at Harry's house, you can find just about any model kit.
Michael Squire says he uses copper wire for his
Yep.
roll bar. Might be a little heavy though.
There's a lot of different things. As long as there's a roll bar in there, because I mean, nobody's going to be looking into the interior of the car and going, "Oh my god, what kind of roll bar did you use? That looks terrible." The car's going to be going around the track. It's just nobody's going to really see that,
That's right.
too much. So just make something simplistic and have a driver in there, and nobody's going to know the difference.
I made mine out of Q-tips. That was one of the things that George
That works because they're
recommended.
plastic.
Yeah.
They're not the cotton or the fabric ones are plastic. So you cut them and
Yep.
make a roll bar out of them.
And Harry says that you can use the leftover plastic from model kits.
Yeah, the sprues. Sprues is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All you
sprues
gotta do is
make
just
great.
warm it up with a Bic lighter. You don't even have to warm it very much. A couple of passes, and you can bend it however you want.
So in the model kit, some kits do offer roll bars, which are nice if you make like a full interior, which some of them do have full interiors. But if you make a tray one, the screws are good too. They're just as good.
Yeah, Tom just checked out your channel, Dave.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I already subscribed to you too, Tom. So
Dave makes hot rods.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Paper,
I want to do
clips.
a Proxy.
Paper clips.
Yeah.
I didn't try that
thin.
before. Huh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just excited about jumping in and building the next build, right? And I know you guys have like multiple builds going at once. I know that the Mark Thomas NASCAR is going on, and it's getting close, right? What's the dates on that?
March 21st, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my car's done. It just needs to go. I'm going to do a little test and tune on it here in the next few days, and a little video to follow up my first one, and then it's in the box and on its way to get it out of my hair.
And there are a lot of other proxy races out there on Home Racing World. If you go to the forums,
yes,
if this is something that you get interested in, and not all of them are scratch build. A lot of them are Can-Am or Fly.
There's one interesting one which I have helped run at here in North Carolina because they hosted it. Is the crap car proxy? That's a real interesting one because you send basically a crap slot car in and you race it. It's kind of like the lemon races. And there have been some interesting cars that I've seen go into crap car proxy. So that's on Home Racing World too. So I mean, if you have an old crappy car and I can put some decent tires and send it in, they'll race it. So that's a pretty interesting series. And then there's other ones that are more detailed, of course. Like I think it's Calgary Racer has one where he's got his proxy in Canada. So I mean, it's all over worldwide. I mean, where you want to do a proxy, it's just there's some of them the rules are very specific with certain things.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones for Home Racing World that we do are a little bit just more just general.
Right.
So I mean, you could get into a lot of things. So
yeah, there's a lot out there. So if people are interested in other proxies, I would go to the forums, and there's a whole area for posting about proxies. mx69.com. How do I get someone to build a certain car body? To keep it short, I'm disabled now. Broke my neck a few years ago. Can't use my hands anymore. I don't know. There's probably people out there that would be interested in helping on the forums for somebody that is wanting a car built. We'd probably need more information, MX69. But yeah, I'm sure there's lots of guys out there that would love to help you out. So I just saw that come in, and Shelby Series 1.
That's the car, Shelby car, or
is that
Cobra?
Yeah, you wanted to build
Shelby
a Cobra,
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to build like you want a chassis for it, I guess, is what he's asking.
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. He might have a Carrera body, I guess, and want a chassis for it. But yeah.
Yeah, you could post that on the forum, see somebody could help you.
Yeah. I would recommend there's so much information out there in the forums. And I think people forget about it sometimes and live in Facebook groups. But if you really want some details on building cars and tuning cars, there's just so much information out there. You could lose a whole day just browsing through the forums. So yeah, this is exciting, guys. Thanks for helping us better understand what's going on with the proxy, and hopefully get a bunch of guys out of the chat here that jump in. It'd be awesome to see 10 or 15 guys that hang out here a lot build cars. Send them in.
Yeah, that would be cool. And like I say, any questions, just holler at George or Harry or myself, and we're all available on Messenger. Easy to get a hold of us. So if you need anything, we'll do our best to help.
Yeah, a lot of first-time builders surprise us with what they do. I mean, I've seen some like, wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't, and you get ideas from different people because everybody thinks differently on how to do stuff. So if you find an idea that somebody using it works for you, you want to try it. That's the best part about it. You give it a shot and try it that way. It's just nice to see different aspects on how people think a car should be built too, and certain modeling techniques.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the beauty of it.
the John Tucci's, the Michael Squires, the Tads, these guys all just dove in, and man, it's I hate to use that old cliche. It warms my heart. It does. It warms my heart to see this stuff. It really does. It's my only reason for. It's really my only reason for being on YouTube is to encourage people to do this. That's it. That's the only reason I'm. And it's working. Maybe I think kind of. So
well, I mean, I think the last Proxy was proof that it's gaining traction, right? People are experimenting and having fun with it.
Right. Yep. You got like George. George is his how-to videos. Come on, if you can't build a car after watching one of George's videos, then and he's very regular about his information, and it comes out, and it's helped a lot, and it's amazing to me. I love it. It's great.
Greg wants to know, where can you get inserts for different size aluminum wheels, deep dish and others?
Slot Car Corner has a pretty big selection of inserts.
Yeah.
So you might check there first, and then after that, a lot of these are custom made by some of us and things like that. But I bet you'll find what you're looking for at Slot Car Corner. Really,
Yeah, I think so too. It seems that they have a great selection of stuff.
The company that makes the new tire chewer, the CG Slot Cars, he has a ton of 3D printed wheel inserts that are beautiful. That's on my Volkswagen model. That's what those are. Those are the Fuchs. They're very good.
Yeah, they look great. Michael Squire says we should all post a pic on Home Racing World or Home Racing World Facebook of our projects.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, you Home Racing, the forum do that, because that's what we did with the Winston Cup. If you go there, there's the post your Winston Cup builds, and there's all our cars, which I've posted a lot. So has Dave and everybody else, of the stages of how their cars are building. So go to the forum page. If you're not a member of the Home Racing World, you need to go there right now and become a member.
Yeah, shame on you if you're not.
All your stock car information and everything is going to be there. There's no other place besides going to Facebook, because I know Facebook's an easy thing to do. Yeah. I mean, I do it. I'm guilty of it. But when you go to a forum board, it has a lot more information, a lot more details. There are a lot of guys that only use the forum board, which are some of the old school guys. That they just don't want to go on Facebook or don't want a Facebook account. The Home Racing World forum page is the best, in my opinion, slot car page. It trumps all the other ones. Slot car journal, slot car forum, not journal, slot car forum. What was the other one? Slot car illustrated. All those other ones stink. They're not that good. And the people there, I feel are a little bit abrasive and kind of jerky. So I've seen some of the threads from there. We do maintain that people are respectful. I'm one of the administrators on there, so is Dave. If we see something out of line, we get rid of that, or we warn the person, or we just ban them.
Yeah,
because we don't want that crap.
Yeah, we don't mess around. It's a very homey atmosphere. You can cut up and all that stuff, but just Harry's archives are enough to make anybody want to go there, because you could find out anything you ever needed to know about not just scratch building, but tuning any model, make, type of slot car you ever thought of. It's on there. It's amazing that information is there and people aren't using it. You really should. If you have a question, it's there. The answer is there.
Everything, how to resin your own bodies. I mean, there's one that Mark Thomas did. How to cast your body. That's been on there a long time. There's a ton of things on there. I mean, even how to tune fly cars before the amount of parts that we have now. Right now, I mean, Harry would tune those cars with what he had lying around. I mean, right now, like you said, we've said before, being in the slot car hobby right now is great because there's just a lot of products to help us. Whereas before, if you look at some of those old articles and go look at them, he was making his own stuff to make the cars work, and he did it. So I mean, now it's even easier.
If you should go look. Michael Squire has his little YouTube page going, and channel going, and he's chronicles his builds, and he does a very good job of it too. He's very much like Harry. He's got the Wilson syndrome. All you see is his hands in the videos, but that's good. They're very concise, and he shows you what he's doing, easily understood. So if you're looking figuring out how to solder brass together, you should check out Michael's stuff too. It's very informative.
There's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, there's the chat's busy.
Oh. But the Area 51 page really is a learning tool, just like with Dave's page. It's not a page to promote. Well, I wouldn't say that. So my backers that I promote because I believe in their products. That's why I showcase them. Home Racing World. Um, you know, Racetrack Scenics, Slot Car Corner, and then Slot Invasion, which I don't mention that much, which I should, because Oscar's a really good guy. Those are the four guys that all pretty much showcase their stuff when they come up, because the thing with those guys is that they are truly slot car hobbyists, because they are doing stuff for the hobbyists. They're not doing a quick buck to make some silly product that doesn't work. They make stuff that works,
Right.
all the stuff that Steve has produced, and then, along with Kevin, all the stuff he's producing. Now, I just put out a video for the modular track that he's building for me. I went over there today. I don't know if anybody's watched it. Please watch it, because Kevin has really got something going on there, and the way I explain it in the video and how he explains to me how everything goes together, because I didn't really know, because by hearing it and him talking about it until you actually see it and when it's cut, and now you kind of like, aha, you have that aha moment. That's how you do it. So I mean, it's really nice. So check it out, because I think that's when I get that track together for downstairs, that's going to be a really fun build, and it's going to be pretty simple. So
Yeah.
uh, again, Kevin is, like I said, Area 51 channel has its. I have my favorite people that I back, but then also it's a channel about learning. It's not
Right.
all about promoting products all the time. It's also about showing people how to do something. Same with Dave. It doesn't matter how many subscribers I have. I don't really care about that. As long as you come away from something from the channel, like, oh wow, I learned how to do this, or I learned how to do that. That makes me happy, and if it makes you a better builder than me, then I made my mission accomplished. That's how I see it.
Well,
It's
George, when that new track of yours gets up and running, there's going to be some damn Area 51 proxies on that sucker. You can guarantee.
That's right. I'm expecting it. Let's see. Patrick asks, how do you attach a model car body to a slot car chassis? He wants to do a newer Dodge Challenger. Of course, that wouldn't work for this Proxy, but he's just wanting to build a car.
the H&R chassis,
There's a lot of videos out there. George and Dave and Harry have all done videos on how to attach bodies to the chassis. There's plenty of information out there. Go watch those videos, Patrick.
Yeah, that's it. That's a 2-hour long video all in itself. Over all the different ways to attach a slot car, chassis to a body. It depends on a lot of things: the body, the chassis, a lot of things. So, yeah, more information needed.
Yep,
I knew that question would come up.
I know you too. I was waiting for it.
You knew that was coming.
Yeah, I was waiting. Yeah.
Follow George's channel. He'll update us sometime.
As much as I invested into that, it's going in a box. It's going to be saved or archived. I mean, I have 9 grandchildren.
That's right.
As I get older, I may die one day. I'll leave it to them, because I put too much money into it. I don't want to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold on to it. If I ever want to put it back up somewhere in the house, I can. So
that's awesome. Yeah, we're looking forward to your next Proxy on that new track, George.
Yep. We'll see. Well, I'm looking forward to getting built, because today I was like getting excited. I was like, man, this is cool. Because the MDF he uses is furniture grade.
Yeah.
MDF. It's not like the stuff you get at Home Depot or what I used to build this one. That the furniture grade MDF is quite different, and it feels nice, and it's a nice surface, and it looks like it's a super easy surface to paint and do everything. So, well, we'll see when we get everything together. He's, like I said, he's laser cutting it now, and he's just getting the pieces together. So
yeah,
I was making fun of George earlier. I sent him a message. I told him, I said, I watched the video, and you could just tell he's all giddy. I go,
yeah,
I didn't know you excited.
He is. That's awesome.
Kevin was excited too. You hear Kevin yell in the background.
Yeah,
sign to cut.
Yeah.
Right. Kevin's really enthusiastic. We'll go over. I'll go over there, and Frank will go over there, and he'll just be racing on the track, the wood track they have there, the oval, and he likes that. He likes having people racing on that track while he's working. He's very very he's a very large slot car enthusiast. Kevin is all heart. That's why I really back him a lot with his stuff he does, because I give him ideas and he listens.
Yep.
So he listens to the masses. You know, if he could do it, he'll do it. You know, if he can't, he'll say, "Well, it's something I can't do." But I mean, it's the same thing with Steve. So I'll tell Steve's the guy that, you know, we're coming out with this something new. We want you to try it out. Tell us what you think, and if it works, we'll mass produce it. So we have something more aspect of scratch building, and that's what's great about that.
Yeah.
To have people like that, because if you don't have anybody like that who wants to innovate or who has the joy of what they do, of going to work and building this stuff, you know, that's the key part of it. That's what I like about those two guys. You know, they really are enthusiasts.
I agree. Yeah, it's great to have new products coming out that help the hobby in all aspects of the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely, totally.
Well, guys, we'll wrap things up tonight. Thanks for joining, guys. If you don't already subscribe to Shotgun Dave's channel or Area 51 Raceway, North Carolina, NC, with George, you need to. Great channels, great content. They're always putting out very informative. It's all about education. It's all about helping people get better at the hobby and enjoy the hobby more. And so we're always going to promote that. And then go find Harry out there, Home Racing World. You won't find a better channel out there when it comes to promoting the hobby of slot cars. So, but guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. And
thanks for having us. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to me ramble on.
Good night, everybody. Appreciate it.
You'll have fun racing.
All right.